What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. And as always, I'm Johnny.
I'm Randy.
And happy Friday the 13th, everyone. Friday the 13th in December.
We didn't forget you this time.
No, we did last time, but
He wouldn't let me.
not this time.
I tried. He wouldn't let me.
Yeah. I think Randy dreads every time there's a Friday the 13th because I'm like, hey, Randy, guess what?
It was like, oh, no. Hey, I did find fun fact. Fun fact for you. If the month starts on a Sunday,
Yeah.
it has a Friday the 13th in it.
Really?
So that's a good way to know. The first of the month's ever on a Sunday. We have a Friday the 13th.
Now we know. Right on, man. Which eventually we're going to run out of Friday the 13th films to review.
No, we'll just circle. It's like a circle.
It just keeps going around.
It's like a circle.
It just connects. It's like a shower curtain ring.
Best in the world.
You know what I'm talking about? Shower curtain ring? Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You want to hurt me?
The second best Thanksgiving movie.
Second best? What's the first best?
Duh. Son-in-law.
Nah.
The Weasel.
I'm sorry, man. I love
The Weasel.
I love Son-in-Law, but Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
You're fired.
But anyway, so before we get in to the actual movie review itself, we have already reviewed Friday the 13th Part 1 and Part 2.
Jason goes to hell.
And Jason Takes Manhattan.
Ugh.
Freddy versus Jason. But now we're trying to do them in order.
Have we done the remake? Or not the remake, but the 2009?
9? Yes, we did.
We did that one?
That's the one with Derek Mears, the one that you said you liked.
Yes.
But
no Ken Carson.
and I still can't believe that one bombed.
Yeah, I don't.
That's so good, dude.
Well, and it was on the coattails of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. It was just what 3 years later.
2006.
2006.
No, it came out 2009. Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in 2003.
Okay, so it's 6 years.
Yeah. But no reason I said before we get into it, I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm kind of going to be biased on this film. And it's because this is the very first Friday 13th that I ever owned.
Oh, okay, I can't say nothing. It's because it's like my Dream Warriors.
Okay, there you go. Like, it's one of those, I remember after, which I had seen the Friday 13th movies growing up. But when me and my wife got married, I remember going to this shop in St. Louis, and they had all these, back in the day, it was a DVD store, movie posters, record store. And I remember I only had enough money at that time to get one DVD. And I was going through and I seen Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D. And I was like,
Was that a Hastings?
no, it wasn't a Hastings.
Was it on cue?
No.
Darn.
It was something else in St. Louis. But I remember like, oh, snaps. It was a DVD. You know, I was like, oh, cool. Because this is, you know, I was like, it's not VHS no more.
You can't do that no more.
And I remember taking home watching it, man. And this movie has a lot of flaws. But like Randy says with Dream Warriors, which Dream Warriors is a great movie, though.
Yeah.
This,
I guess you could say it's more like my Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
okay, there you go. This movie just, I don't know, it holds a special place. You know what I'm saying? Not like in my heart, but in my pocket.
Yeah, because it's everywhere.
Yeah. But anyway, like I said, no, I'm going to try to honestly judge it fair, but there is things that I'm going to point out because I have done so much research about the Friday 13th films that I love watching documentaries, and now when they point out the flaws, I'm like, oh.
One thing I'll say about it for sure is this is and they were not afraid to show it, even if you weren't watching it in 3D. This is one of my top Jason looks. With the green shirt, the jeans, and the hockey mask.
Yeah,
it's one of my top looks. The burlap's in there, but this is one of my tops.
I'm gonna throw up my cosplay outfit right here, so y'all can see that this is where I take it from as Part 3.
Yeah,
I love this look.
Yeah, it's legit, and it's crazy because it's just simple.
Yeah,
it's just a straight button up, blue jeans, mask.
Well,
I like my favorite is probably Freddy versus Jason.
Oh, with the big like coat over. Yeah.
Big coat.
See, so many people didn't like that. And I love it. Like the coat looks old, weathered, shredded.
Yeah. I dig that one.
I do too.
That's probably my number one, to be honest with you.
My number one look of Jason is from part 7, where he's showing his spinal cord and all that stuff. I don't know if we've watched that yet.
That's Kane, right?
Yeah, but we watched Manhattan.
Yeah, we watched Manhattan. I don't think we watched.
When you see part 7, it may change your mind, but no, the Freddy vs. Jason look.
Yeah,
I love everything about that one.
yeah, it's legit.
But no, like I said, I actually did a Friday 13th film ranking on my channel, so I'll put that link in the bio on this episode. But yeah, but no, man, Randy's never seen this one. I'm sure you've seen clips from it because I mean, it's
as soon as, spoiler alert, Rick got thrown through the window, I thought I've seen that 1.5 million times.
Oh yeah, well they're famous for that, you know. But I don't know. Like I said, I still feel like here's the way I'll put it: the film has a lot of flaws, but I still have fun watching the film. I'll just leave it at that, man. Yeah. I'm not going to try to defend it and try to like bring you to the side where if you say you hate it, oh man, because I mean, or you're just now watching it.
Yeah, and there's nothing. This thing came out in 1982. Okay,
mm-hmm.
So that's got to be remembered. And it is clearly a Friday the 13th movie.
Right.
From start to finish.
Yes.
In every aspect of it. So you can't hate on this one and then hate on 2.
2 was great though.
2 was great.
Yeah.
You just can't hate on this one, because if you hate on this one, you could probably take everything you don't like about this one and don't like it about another one.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're just so
similar.
It's not. I'm not going to say repetitive, but similar.
That's one thing that like even my brothers mentioned. My favorite is the Halloween franchise, then Nightmare on Elm Street, and then Friday 13th.
Yeah.
But honestly, and to all you diehard Friday 13th fans, every single one of y'all have to admit, if you watch these films marathon like back to back, they are almost all the exact same as far as somebody's vehicle breaks down. There's the final girl running through the woods.
There's always a boat. There's always on a lake or a pond or something.
You know, I mean, it's just, there's dynamics to the films where you're like, that's why the Nightmare on Elm Street films, every one of them's different.
But I will say the best thing about the Friday the 13th franchise, from what I've seen, you get a progression of Jason in every single one of them. You don't even get Jason in the first one.
Right.
And then you get base Jason in the second one. Yeah. Then you get a little bit deeper with Jason in the third one. And then eventually he goes Super Saiyan when Tommy Jarvis decides to stab him in the grave.
And my favorite one, part 6.
You know what I mean?
And that's what I'm saying. That's why I think part 6 is my favorite, because the director was like, okay,
time to make it supernatural.
Well, he said that he sat down before, when he took the job, he sat down and watched 1 through 5 back to back in a theater and said, I want to make mine different. So what he do, he threw goth comedy into it.
Yeah.
And which, like I said, I don't know, did you watch that one?
If I haven't watched the whole thing, I have seen clips from it.
I know we haven't reviewed it.
Yeah.
But like one of the gas station scenes is called Karloff gas station. Boris Karloff. Then they're like Carpenter Road. He said he wrote that in there for John Carpenter. Yeah, I mean, he did stuff like that.
Yeah.
And there's a death scene in there where a woman, I'm not going to say who it is because you haven't seen it yet, but she gets stabbed while she's in the water. And she's trying to like...
Is that the one with she pulls out a credit card or something? I have seen it.
Okay, and it's floating.
Yeah.
And he said the only reason he stayed on it that long is, he said, because he always knew when they showed it in the theater, somebody in the background would go, don't leave home without it. And that's what he said. He said he wanted the film to be fun.
Yeah.
And it's not scary at all.
Yeah.
But it is a good time.
You say, as soon as you started talking about her getting stabbed in mud, I automatically was like, credit card. I have seen this movie.
So, but I will say this version, Richard Brooker, like I said, I've met Richard right before he passed away in 2013. Super cool guy. And I told him, he is, to me, one of the best portrayals of Jason.
I do like
his physique, the way his movement. And I really like the more human aspect of Jason. Because like in this film, I think the third act, the big final chase scene, I think it's good. I like it, and I like this, which I like the director in this movie too. But like I said, it was just certain shots, man, that you would see the female running, and all of a sudden in the background here you see Jason. I like that.
Yeah.
So
But can we just talk about how there were times where it seemed like Jason was going to start screaming for a Babe Ruth?
go ahead,
He
man.
looks like Sloth, man.
I never thought of that till you said that.
Oh, he looks like Sloth so much, and it not in a bad way, you know, because Goonies classic. But yeah, he does. He looks like Sloth. I just kept waiting him to come around the corner and go, "Hey, you guys!"
Yeah, Ruth. But no, like I said, I don't know. And of course, man, I really can't think of any 3D films that still hold up. I mean,
Man.
it's really hard to do a 3D film and make it because, and they even said it on the documentary, you have a blast doing it when you go see it in theater. But then when you got it at home, it just doesn't hit.
No.
And this one had a lot of 3D moments in it. You could tell.
Oh yeah.
But they make it very noticeable. Like when the guy has
Like,
the clothesline and he's like,
yeah, and like they make it a point of, it's almost like they're looking at the camera and they're like, all right, I gotta line it up just right.
well, on the documentary, one of the actors or actresses said that that's one thing that sucked was the actors were more worried about getting it into the camera shot than acting.
Yeah.
So the guy, when he's doing the yo-yo, he's literally going toward the lens, trying to keep it in focus. And you could tell, I mean, but it looked real though, because he's like trying his hardest he's going, all right.
Well, they played that off because he was messing with the girl.
Right.
So it was almost like he was like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they kind of played that one off. I will say the best 3D shot that I seen was your favorite kill. And how they had the shot under when the dude was upside down.
Yeah.
And they had the shot of Jason from the ground.
Yeah.
And that I could see would be a legit freak out in theaters.
You killed me because I was telling Randy, I said, it's got one of my favorite kill shots in the movie or in the Friday 13th franchise. And the part was coming up and I said, here it is, Randy. And it happened. And Randy was just like, he's like, that was it.
That was it.
And I was like, you think that was cool? And he's like, I mean, it wasn't. And I was like, no, it was the shot. And then he was like, oh, because
I thought he meant the kill itself, which I mean, you could tell, and it was implied to be completely brutal. But
I mean, his body looked good when he was hanging on the rafter.
Yeah. But it was just Jason, boom, body fall. That's all it was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were talking about the camera shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll give you that.
It was like that. He was like walking on a glass floor and the camera was underneath it. I thought that was a pretty unique thing.
Yeah. If they had GoPros back then, he probably just had a GoPro on his head.
That would have been cool. Yeah.
No ideas.
Yeah, I'm like, But anyway, Randy. Yeah. You want to hit us that summary, man?
Man, I think I got a summary here somewhere. Tip of the tongue, of the teeth, the lips. Jason Voorhees, having barely survived a wound to his shoulder.
Wait a minute.
What?
Did you say 4?
I said Jason Voorhees.
4? You sound weird saying it.
I'm country.
It sounds like you're saying 4.
Forever.
It's Vor, not 4.
Oh my god.
Go ahead, man.
Captain Articulation over here. Part 2.
Actually, it's part 3.
Jason Voorhees, having barely survived a wound to his shoulder from his own machete, is back to revenge on all that visit his woods. A new group of friends come over to party at an area close to the campsite. This time, Jason will be stronger than ever and getting a hockey mask from one of those friends.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun. But yeah, you want some cast?
Yeah, let me have the cast.
You want some cast action?
Yeah, I read the cast.
Don't read parts 1, 2, or 4.
Yeah,
they'll probably add it on in there.
Well, first off, we got to mention Richard Brooker. The late Richard Brooker is playing Jason Voorhees. We also have Dana Kamel as Chris Higgins, Paul Kritika
Looks about right.
plays Rick. Let's see. We got Catherine Parks plays Vera. Larry Zerner plays Shelley.
My chunky brother.
Tracy Savage plays Debbie. Gloria Charles plays Fox. Let's see here. Kevin O'Brien plays Loco. And Jeffrey Rogers plays Andy, which he's the one that ended up getting split right down the middle.
He's the horny dude.
I mean,
you know.
Wasn't we all at that age?
I don't know how old he was. Probably.
All right, so this movie got a 5.6 out of a 10 from IMDb. Rotten Tomatoes scored it 11%. The film came out in 1982, and it is categorized as horror crime, and it is rated R, and it is 1 hour and 35 minutes long.
How is it not a horror slasher, horror crime?
I don't know.
There was no detective work in this.
That's kind of what I thought was horror slasher.
This movie is a horror slasher movie. It's not a crime. Olivia Benson's not rolling around in this movie.
It's also directed by Steve Miner, who also directed Halloween H2O, one of our favorite Halloween films, which I like Steve Miner. And fun fact, he made a cameo when the couple at the very beginning is watching the newscast. He was the newscaster, the reporter.
You only get a blurry view of him until the lady wants to turn the antenna into a 3D motion thing and then start moving it. But yeah.
The budget for the film was $2.2 million.
2.2.
And at the box office, it made $36.7 million.
2.2 was a lot of money back in the 80s.
Yeah. And making 36.7, it made its money.
Oh yeah. And then some.
So that's what like I said, if you watch the documentaries on these films, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were pretty much the highest grossing. And then since 5 screwed everything up, then it was 6, 7, 8. So.
And then Jason Goes to Hell was on a whole new level.
Did you know? Fun fact about that.
Probably not.
That was supposed to be Friday 13th Part 9. Jason Goes to Hell.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't want anything. Apparently, they didn't want to have Friday 13th included in that, like from that franchise. Like they didn't want it to be Part 9.
They didn't want it to be part of the series.
So that's why it's called Jason Goes to Hell: The Final Friday. Which I don't blame them because that movie sucks.
There wasn't that the one where they had the Freddy glove?
Yeah.
At the end of it,
and they had the Necronomicon in it.
Yep.
So they were saying that Jason was a deadite.
Which
they just tried to. Cool concepts, sucky movie.
Yeah, it was a terrible movie. But if we would have gotten a Freddy versus Jason versus Ash out of it, it would have been worth it.
Oh, definitely. I'd love to see Ash and Freddy running their mouth to each other.
Oh, that would be so.
Because you'd get Freddy, like Freddy versus Jason. You'd get Freddy from Dream Warriors.
Oh yeah. No, it'd probably be more of Freddy from Freddy versus Jason.
Well, that's what I meant. The look and act.
Oh yeah.
So I will say right off the bat that this is classic Friday the 13th, classic 80s feel. And I love the opening music, the disco music. I don't know why they decided to use this music, but I think it's funny that it's not only in the opening scene, but then when they're at the convenience store, you can hear it playing in the background.
Yeah.
But
see, for me, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like it fits the setting.
Oh, no. It don't fit nothing.
If this had taken place in, like, the city,
mm-hmm.
like, okay, if this music was playing and Jason Goes to Manhattan, 100% agree with it. It's perfect. It is absolutely perfect.
Right.
Like, I don't know about, like, the time frame, but it would fit that theme and that setting.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it didn't.
No.
I mean, you kept saying disco, and I expected a crystal ball to start.
Oh, no.
Somewhere.
But, so, how do you feel as far as, like, the movie? Do you feel like it's a fun watch, or do you feel like, oh my gosh, this is a boring film? Because, like I said, I'm looking at it from my perspective of, like I told you, this is one that I really love. and you're looking at it from 2024 view, but going into it, you knew, okay, you kind of know what to expect of these movies.
And I did, and I take that in consideration with as well as it's a classic franchise.
Mhm.
It came out in '82. This movie came out 4 years before I was ever born, so I have to take that in consideration too.
Yeah.
My thing about these movies is the acting at times keeps me out of the movie.
Yes.
And like for this one, I find myself being more interested when I know Jason is fixing to pop up.
Oh yeah.
Or when you get a vibe for Jason. Like there's a good stretch where Jason's not really involved in it at all.
Right.
It's just the people in the campsite or at the house doing their own little thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then once Jason starts getting more involved, that's when I found myself going, all right, what's Jason doing? Because like you said, this is the most human type Jason that I can think of.
This one in part 2.
In part 2, yeah. Part 2 was for sure. But this is the more bulky Jason.
Oh, yeah.
Because this dude is a tank.
Yeah.
And I like...
He's more menacing.
And it's weird because I'm on the record with saying I like the more menacing Ken Kirsinger, Derek Mears type Jasons.
Yes.
Kane Hodder, not my favorite Jason.
Right.
Because of the way he does his movements.
Yeah.
This one is different than Kane Hodder because he still does human type moves, but it's not robotic.
Right, right.
And Kane's movements are always more sudden.
Yeah.
They're more fast. Not that he's like a robot actor or anything like that. It's just the movements and everything. This is the most human. This and 2. And 2 is who does Jason?
Steve Dash.
Steve Dash.
He was more smaller and slimmer.
Exactly. He looked
like a country kid.
Well, and it's crazy because his body type seems more like Michael Myers.
Oh yeah.
He was a lot slender.
Yeah.
Whereas this guy was bulky and you could see it.
Yeah.
So, and then he moved like you would think a crazed maniac would move.
Yeah.
At times where he would actually be chasing people.
Well, there's a scene when they're in the barn when she falls down on top of him. Mm-hmm. There's a scene where she knocks him down. She's going over there to try to get the board out so she can get out of the barn.
Yeah.
He sets up and he starts doing this.
Yeah.
And for all you audio listeners, he's looking around and all of a sudden he spots the machete and he's like, oh, then he reaches for it. Like, that's what I'm saying. He's very humanoid in this one.
Mm-hmm.
And
even when she's in the rafters in the barn and he comes into the barn and starts throwing things to the side and trying to look for her and throwing hay bales off and all this kind of stuff. It's a more serial killer stalk than a supernatural, what we've grown accustomed to. Like, Jason's just there. You can run a 2 mile away, never see Jason, and bam, he's right in front of you.
And see, and I like the Jason running. I like knowing that he's right behind you. That's one thing that I feel like with Michael Myers, it wouldn't look right him running.
No.
But now, like I said in the first one, when Nick Castle portrayed Michael, he had a little pep in his step.
Yeah.
He walked fast. I don't like it where like Jason's just barely walking and you expect me that this guy got in his car, he drove 2 miles down the road, he gets out and Jason's already at the shop. That's the stuff where I'm like, eh.
But I like the stalker Jason to where he's like, I'm not chasing you and I'm not going to be fast about it. I'm going to get you when I get you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm here.
Yeah. To kind of do something a little different on this episode, I'm going to kind of point out some stuff and you know, speak your opinion on it too. But before we get into actually saying, well, the negatives, the positives, I'm going to go ahead and say my rating. Mm-hmm. And then if you want to share your rating,
so and you're going to do
the pulling scale.
The pulling scale?
The pulling scale.
The pulling scale.
Pulling scale?
Pulling.
Scale. Randy's just happy I allowed him to drink coffee on the podcast.
Mainly because I paid for his.
But no, and this isn't in the end of the episode. I just want to give the grades, and then we can go back with we can talk about the negatives and positives.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say the film gets a thumbs up to me. I do recommend you to watch it because, like I said, in my honest opinion, the first 4 Friday 13th films, which the first one is not nowhere near my favorite because, if you want to hear our review, go ahead. It just doesn't hold up anymore.
And spoiler alert, Jason's not in it.
But to me, the first 4 Friday 13th films are the die-hard Friday the 13th films. Then 5 ruined it. 6 was great. I love it. But then, like I said, it just kind of went downhill.
Yeah. 1 through 3, you get your real classic Friday the 13th setting.
Man, you got to throw. Well, you haven't seen 4.
I haven't seen 4.
Okay.
So.
Well, when you see 4, you'll be like,
It's
okay.
the same thing.
Yeah. But I'm giving it a thumbs up. It is a classic. And there is so many flaws in it that we'll get to in a minute. But I do recommend it to you for anybody to watch it. I recommend you to add it to your collection. And I'm going to give the movie, I'm going to give it a B. And like I said, for the nostalgia feeling I have for it, and to me, the final act is great. I really like once Jason puts that mask on and after he kills Rick, I feel like it's boom until the end. But that's my ranking.
Yeah.
So you go ahead.
So I agree with you in the aspect of it is a classic, 100% classic Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah.
And the thing I like about it is like you said, when he gets the mask, when he kills Shelly, cuts his throat. Spoiler alert. He doesn't necessarily die right there. I like the fact that they only show snips of him in the whole movie until he gets his mask. And then once he gets his mask, he's almost on screen the whole time.
Yeah.
It's almost like that he gets his like power shot from the mask.
Right.
And you get that iconic swollen neck, just beefy dude that just wants to hurt people.
Right.
I'm doing my best.
Man, you go for it, buddy.
I'm doing my best to remind myself that this movie came out in 82. The acting, awful.
We'll get into the negatives here in a bit too.
I mean, but yeah. My thing about it is recycled kill scenes. And it's just the hammock and the knife, the bed.
Kevin Bacon.
And yeah, I mean, it's the same thing.
The only one that was really unique in it was the one where
the handstand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I don't remember there being a skull crushing one that I can think of off the top of my head. Not barehanded. Anyway.
Well, there is some later in the films, but yeah.
But I mean, it's just how much can you do?
Right.
I mean, the pitchfork. I'm pretty sure he killed somebody with a pitchfork in 2. Didn't he?
I think so.
I don't remember.
I know he's running around with it.
Oh yeah. Don't quote me on it. I mean, but to me, that's an iconic look. So I just assume, the burlap, the coveralls, and the pitchfork.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it a thumbs in the middle.
Okay.
This is one of those ones like if I got a wild hair and I was like, I'm gonna watch Friday the 13th marathon, I'm not gonna skip it because I don't think it's to the point where I would skip it.
Right.
But this would be one of those like intermission ones for me where I'd be like, if I had to go to the bathroom, I'm not pausing it.
Oh yeah,
if I had to, it's like, hey, can you help me get out the groceries? Yeah, I'm not pausing it. There's just nothing in the first, I'm gonna say 45-ish, 50-ish minutes that I would just hate to miss.
No, I got you. Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it thumbs in the middle, one time watch.
It's an hour and 35 minutes long, and I think the last 35 minutes is where he's like, okay.
Oh yeah, I'll agree with that. I don't think it's necessarily too long. I just think they give you too much dead space,
right,
between the beginning and when Jason gets ramped up. You know what I mean? If they filled that with a whole lot more at the very beginning, hour and 35 minutes, I think would be fine.
Right.
It's one of those ones like, I'm not a collector, so I can't speak to it. But if you are a collector, I could see adding this in your collection just to complete the set.
Right.
It could be one of those ones you're like, I'm gonna watch 1 and 2, and I don't really care to watch 3. But you've got it.
Yeah.
It's all there. And then if you decide to sell the whole collection later on, you got a complete set.
See, I do the opposite where when I'm going to binge watch them, I don't watch one. I watch 2, 3,
Really?
4. Yeah.
You just don't like Mrs. Voorhees.
No, I love Mrs. Voorhees.
You
I don't.
Stupid
The
bitch.
cast is. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
I mean,
though.
yeah. But so yeah, I'm gonna give it a thumbs in the middle, one time watch. And I'm gonna give it a C plus.
Okay.
I'll give it a
We're
C
not
plus.
too far off.
No, it's
I mean,
not too far off.
There's
I
a
was
B
gonna-
minus right between
I was
us.
gonna go B minus, but I was like, you could literally put them in a burlap sack, and this is part 2.
Just 2 was done so much better.
2 was done a whole lot better. I will give you that.
So with that being our ranking, now
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
No.
now we can discuss the negatives and positives of it, because that's the reason I wanted to do the ranking first, is because the stuff that I have to point out about it, it's just like, man, I might as well do my ranking, my review. But
Yeah.
So I'll go with some of the dislikes that I didn't like about this film. And one of them is there's a lot of dead space in it, which you just picked up. And I know it's different makeup artists, but I hate the fact that Jason looks so creepy at the end of part 2 with the beard, the long strangly hair. And now all of a sudden
Is
he's
it just me, or did he look more like Hatchet in part 2?
he looked jacked up, but
Yeah.
now he's bald headed, clean shaven.
He found a barber.
And I wish they would have kept the long haired kind of hillbilly look. But like I said, every movie has a different makeup artist, and that's what they want to go with.
I think if they did, though, I don't think this look would be as good.
No.
Because and maybe it's the bald guy in me. I don't know. But I really like the look of the mask, the bald head, and the straps.
Oh, definitely. But that's what we're accustomed to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. If it had been the long hair from the original or from the get-go, maybe it's a different story. But,
But the 2 major problems I have with the movie is, one, the stupid backstory with Chris is ridiculous. That 2 years ago, Jason, did he have his way with her? What did he do with her?
she just blacked out and then woke up in her bed, and then her mom and dad never talked about it.
And why was he wearing the clothes he just got from the clothesline if it was supposed to be 2 years ago?
Flashback, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
It's the same. He ripped off the same family.
Yeah.
It's the exact same family.
It's little stuff like that to where I feel like the writers and directors are just like, nobody will notice that much.
And then just shoved it in there.
I mean,
And then it didn't
It did-
match with the end of 2.
exactly.
And that's what throws me off. Like, you get about 10 minutes of the end of 2 at
Yes.
the beginning of this one, which we've talked about before. I love a movie and a sequel that starts exactly where the other one picked up.
I do
Hatchet
too.
is top tier for that.
Yes.
Absolutely top tier for
Yes.
that. But don't do it and then flip the script.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like in all realistic, if she had the dream, like she's telling the moment, if it would have showed Jason in the coveralls and the flannel and maybe the burlap sack, or not even having the sack on his head, I can forgive that. But for him to have the same exact clothes, and that's what I'm saying, what did Jason do to her? We've never heard of Jason doing anything like that. And the second thing that I really hate about moments in this movie is everybody talks to themselves. Every time, ooh, what is that?
2 people at the exact same time for the same thing.
Or then it's like, where is everybody? What's going on?
It's the classic Billy.
Yes,
Billy.
like everybody is just what really hurt the film. And like I said, I know it's funny because I gave it a B, but what hurt the film was the casting was so phenomenal in part 2. All the kids did great. The final girl, Jeannie, she's the best final girl of any of the Friday the 13th films. And then they went to this cast, which this cast wasn't annoying or nothing, but the acting wasn't on par. And
Shocker. Shelley's my favorite.
but that's what I was going to say. They all say that Shelley is just annoying as Franklin, and
How dare you?
that's what I was going to say. And they say that he's so annoying.
It's because he's fat and curly.
If you want to get real, I think he showed more of the best acting than any of them.
Absolutely.
Well, Vera did good too. The
Vera
girl that
wasn't bad, and I don't think there were times where Rick wasn't bad either.
no, but it was
Deborah was getting on my nerves as far as her acting goes.
Deborah.
It's the chick that got stabbed on the hammer.
Oh yeah,
Was it Deborah? Debbie?
I think it was Debbie.
Something
But
like that.
like, and then the two stoners, they were just there.
They were
Why were these older people with him anyway? Now the I guess whether he was the husband or what, the guy was clearly a Chong ripoff.
oh yeah, absolutely.
He did crack me up a couple times, and I wish I could have seen more of his personality in the
Yeah.
movie. But like the whole thing where, like you said, every time they're together or they're by themselves, what is going on? Where are we? That gets old, man.
Boy, and I tell you, when Chili realizes that Shelly's dead, you get a 3 to 4 minute scene of some of the worst acting I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my
God, he's dead. Like, what is that? I mean, that was horrible.
And then when she gets stabbed in the stomach, she's like, you know, sounds like me after Taco Bell, you know.
It was bad. It was so bad.
And now I will go on record and say this: I think Chris did a good job when it was time for her to amp it up and be scared of Jason and running and fighting for Jason. But the other times where she's just like, I just blacked out, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like, Or then when Rick would like try to mess with her, can't we just take it easy? I don't know. For such a film that I enjoy watching, it's kind of like you brought it up a while ago, Killer Clowns.
Yeah.
You have a blast watching it.
Oh, absolutely.
Now,
I'll be the first one to admit it's no cinematic, you know.
Now, I
ghost
have a lot
story.
more fun watching Killer Clowns than I do this one. But this is one of the ones that I do actually sometimes get in the mood to watch, and I'll put it in. But while I'm watching the slower parts, I'll be like, I'm going to go get me something to drink. I'm going to go get, you know, but when that final act starts happening, you've got me hook, line, and sinker in it.
You know how I can tell that's the case for you with this movie? You took a phone call while we were watching it.
Yeah.
And you didn't pause it. That's how I know for a fact. I was like, he likes the movie, but it's not like, oh, I can't miss this part.
Right.
Yeah.
But, no, you can share some negatives or positive whatever you got, man.
I mean, it's pretty much the exact same thing. It's the acting for me. It's a couple of recycled kills.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot they could do in 82. I have to keep that in mind because it was all practical effects.
Yeah.
And look, I know you can't crush people's heads for real on TV.
Unless you're Victor Crowley.
But if you're going to have a head with an eyeball pop out like that, you either don't show it and just let the eye fall to the ground, or come on, do something else. Completely destroy the head to where we can't tell.
I'm trying to see if I have it on there. No. Look, it's actually got Jason for part 2 on my shirt and 3.
Now, see, for me, the beginning of the movie, the way they started it out, I dug, showing the end of 2. And this is what I would have wished I would have wanted to see.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have shown Jason in the beginning before he got the hockey mask with the burlap sack.
Yeah.
I wish he would have been in the burlap sack the whole time in the beginning until he got the hockey mask.
Like when he got up, pick it up. Yeah.
I wish that's how they would have portrayed him throughout the whole movie. Whether or not you've seen his whole face, because I did like the fact that they only showed like his leg walking in one direction.
Yeah.
And then hiding and then all this kind of stuff. And then the shots where it was just his hand with a pitchfork and he was just stabbing forward. I get it. This movie was shot with the 3D aspect in mind. And to me, that's probably what gives it such a big knock.
Yeah.
Watching it now on TV. I can understand how this would have been a trip to watch in the theaters in the 80s.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Because I've watched 3D movies before in the theaters, and it's so much more fun to watch them in the theaters than it is at home.
Well, that's like we've watched 3D movies in theater, but then when it comes out on Blu-ray, you can get it on Blu-ray, 4K, or 3D. I never buy it on 3D because it don't look the same.
No, and I really wish some directors would take that in consideration and be like, look, we're going to make a cut strictly for 3D. And then all the 3D shots in it, we're going to do a cut for regular Blu-ray.
Yeah.
I wish it was like 2 different versions.
What's like Texas Chainsaw 3D come out, and once again, it's one of those where when it went 3D, me and Carolyn went and saw it in theaters, and it was cool. It looked like that saw was coming right at you. Now you watch it, you're like, when they tried to redo My Bloody Valentine, when you throw the axe and you tell it's just CGI coming at you, it doesn't fit no more.
Yeah, and it doesn't portray the way it does in theaters when you're sitting in your living room. It's just not the same.
Right.
It's really not. I mean, count it up to having that giant screen right there to where most of what you're seeing is the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not the same. And it's so obvious that they have a focus on the 3D effects while you're watching the movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, literally, when the guy knocks down the pole with the clothesline,
yeah,
he's literally going.
Oh, he looks dead at the camera, but he does it quick when he puts it in.
He's like, where's the lens? Where's the lens?
Yeah.
And you can see it. And it's clear as day.
There was one kill scene in there that I feel like would have been a really good one, but you can't really tell what happens. And it's with the couple at the beginning that own the convenience store. Mm-hmm. Harold gets killed. Do you know what happened to his wife? I mean, you saw his hand covering her mouth, and
yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that it was her knitting needle.
That's what I was fixing. You have
when she sat down, she couldn't find her knitting needle.
You have to watch the documentary, and I don't know if the rating boards cut it down, but if you don't know what to look for, you can't even see it. He takes it, shoves it through the back of her head, and it's right here. For all you audio listeners, it's coming between his middle finger and his ring finger.
Yeah.
And you can see it coming through, and that's how he's holding it. And they had a side shot of it that looked good, but I guess, like I said, maybe it got cut. Yeah. But when it happens in the movie, when you watch it, you're like, what did he do to her?
Yeah.
I think that would have been a good kill scene if they could have kept more into it. But, man, overall, like I said, I do feel like Chris deserves recognition for being a good final girl with her smarts at the end of it.
Yeah. But that aspect of it, you go back and you watch 2, you see
Jeannie.
I mean,
no.
It's hard to watch movies that come out back to back.
Yeah.
And one is the epitome of your final woman, and the second one is just not the same.
Right.
I mean, and it's not fair to Chris.
Yeah.
Because we have standards from the one before her. I mean, it's not fair to her. And it's not that she did a bad job.
Well, that's like when she falls out the window, when Jason's watching her, she could just took off running in the woods. Mm-hmm. But she goes up, she watches him come down the spiral side, what is it called?
Spiral
staircase.
Picks up his giant log.
Yeah, but she's waiting on him.
Yeah.
Hits him. That's what I'm saying. I mean, she showed testicular fortitude.
She took initiative.
Yeah, and I did like that. And then, like, when he's grabbing her through the window and she rolls it up.
He's like, she ain't dumb.
No, and like I said, it's one of those where I feel like she does earn that recognition of being a good final girl.
Yeah.
I just wish the acting in the entire movie would have been better. But I don't know, man. Like I said, I still enjoy the movie. I really do.
Yeah.
And I wish that Richard Brooker would have played Jason in more of the Friday the 13th films, because I really think he had a menacing presence on screen. And I like what I told you, where he was talking to Steve Miner, and Steve Miner was like, don't ever ask me what your motive is, because you're just a killer. And it's like a shark in water. You're just a killer.
Just go get him.
Yeah. And I think that is the perfect way to explain that to somebody.
And there were times where he would walk into a room, him being Jason, that you kind of felt that. Mm-hmm. Because there were times I could 100% believe that there were moments where he was like, all right, this is the scene. You're eventually going to make it up here. Go in.
Yeah.
And then it was him going in and literally trying to hunt him down.
That you say that the scene where he finally goes in and he puts the board down in the barn. Mm-hmm. She's hanging. Steve Miner told Richard Brooker, this is the last time we're using a barn. Tear it up. Yeah, and that's why Richard just started going through and and I think that's cool, because he didn't say, well, go over here and tear this part out. He just said, go.
Just go.
And I think that's pretty cool.
I like that. And you could see that frustrated where the heck are you type thing,
Yeah.
because he was going in there and just chunking stuff. It reminded me of H2O when he was coming through and he was just flipping the tables back. you know? That's kind of what it reminded me of.
I think my favorite 3D moment, though, and you'll probably roll your eyes or laugh about it, is when she hits him with the axe and he goes, ugh! And then he reaches toward her. Because in theaters, that had to be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But I do like that scene, though. But like I said, if you're going to pick 3D, I mean.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it really sucks that we couldn't do the review as a 3D movie.
Yeah.
In the theaters.
Right.
Because I think it would be a completely different outcome.
Well, that's like, did me and you watch Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare?
Mm-mm.
We did not watch that one?
I don't think so.
Well, the very end of it is 3D. And I remember being so disappointed because my brother went and watched it in the theater in 3D, and I was young where Mom wouldn't let me go with Christopher. So he got to experience it. Once it came out, I was like,
it ain't the same.
It ain't the same, man. But
I wear glasses 24/7, so it's different for me because the way you have to wear the 3D glasses over your normal glasses. Otherwise, I can take my glasses off and get the same 3D effect. So.
But, man, you got anything else you want to share about it? I mean,
I don't think so. Like I said, this is probably top 3, maybe top 4 Jason looks. Because, I mean, Derek Mears, Ken Kirsinger is one of my tops.
mm-hmm.
And then part 2 is, I don't know, there's just something so simplistic about part 2.
Yeah.
That just makes it look great. And then this one is iconic. When I think of Jason, I think of bald head and then the mask and then the strap on the bald head. I mean,
see, in part 4, he wears the exact same stuff you've seen a while ago. Yeah. Green shirt, the pants and the bald head and all that. But yeah, man, I hope you guys and gals enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I just thought it would be neat for us to go ahead and do the pull-and scale.
The what?
The pull-and scale.
The pull-and scale?
And give our review, so then we can go back and forth with the negatives and positives. Because, I don't know, it's just one of them movies where I really enjoy it. That was my COVID mask. Just don't mind the hose. The audio people are like, what?
What are you talking
I got a half Jason mask. But anyway, no, our next episode will be Terrifier 2.
Part 2.
Yes, and my brother will be back for that.
Reyes.
Yep. And let's see, as always, please give us a like and follow on all of our social media.
It's the buttons down below for all you video people.
Yes. We are not getting a whole lot of traction on YouTube, so please go over there, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, please.
Hit the bell.
Yeah. And follow us on Instagram at Small Town Horror with Johnny_Randy. Facebook is Small Town Horror with Johnny and Randy. And TikTok is at Small Town Horror Podcast. And as always, you can download us on iTunes, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Google Podcast.
I mean, pretty much anywhere you can get your podcast from. And I think that's pretty much about it, right?
Sounds about right.
So
we ain't on Threads. We're not on Blue Sky.
We're not on X.
Yeah, he took us off.
Like you did anything with the stuff.
No.
But as always, until next time, remember to stay scared.
Stay spooky.